How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Fam, and we are back with another preseason FPL video, and today we're continuing our Team Watch series, and up next is the Saints, Southampton. We're going to be taking a look at their attacking FPL assets as well as their defensive ones, and we'll see what they're doing in the transfer market and potentially what they're doing in preseason to help strengthen their team going into the new FPL season. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Also drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, and give us a follow over on Twitch so you can join us live for our preview and deadline and any impromptu FPL streams, which will all be exclusively over on Twitch for this season. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at some of Southampton's defensive assets. Now, Southampton are a team that is not really known for their defensive prowess. However, they do have some cheaper FPL assets that we could potentially take a look at, especially with their change in system. Now, maybe not right off the bat, but they are a team that could potentially give us some value later on, having a bunch of 4.5 million defenders, which could be playing in a wing-back role come later on in the season. If you look at their initial fixtures, their first 5 aren't great, but if we just have the first 4 at the top of the graphic here, Spurs away, Leicester away, Man United at home, Leeds at home is their only good fixture in their opening 5. So I wouldn't think that defensively that it's going to be that good. However, Walker-Peters, Perot, although he hasn't played any minutes of preseason as of yet, and Livramento all look to be potential wing-back options in Ralph Hasenhüttl's 3-4-3 system. He's kind of reinventing that because it just seems like every season for the last few seasons, Southampton have a couple of games where they just implode and just concede 6+ goals against a, not necessarily the best team, but like United wasn't playing great when they won 9-0. You know, Chelsea won, I think it was 6-0 last season as well. Could have been more had they not had a Champions League fixture after it. They just want to solidify things up. Now, I don't think that necessarily the way to do it is just switch to 3 at the back, because that can make you even more open if you don't know what you're doing. But it seems like they're playing with 3 solid center backs, playing with wing backs. Walker-Peters was playing one of those wing back roles in one of their most recent preseason games. You would think that Perot and Livramento would be fighting it out for the other spot potentially. That's yet to be determined, however. And then you have James Ward-Prowse and then another defensive-minded midfielder. We'll talk about who that's potentially going to be when we get to the transfer section in those central roles. And then you have the more of a front 3 with Adams probably leading the line. And then you have a bunch of different players in there that could potentially work their, you know, kind of place into the team there. And we might find a budget attacking option because Southampton are pretty good attacking wise. If you just look at the team stats just above me, 60 big chances is pretty good. Just under 300 shots inside the box, 50.60 non-penalty XG. It's just about conversion and not shipping a goal early, which causes them to basically kind of just crumble and not be able to do very much at all. But if you look at the last 4, just the 1 big chance, which isn't great. So they're getting a decent amount of shots, similar to some other teams in the last 4 games that they played in last season, but overall just not converting them or getting quality enough chances, and they just need somebody to kind of hold down that fort. But I think with the new system, they could see more creativity from the likes of Walker-Peters, Livramento, Perot, whoever's occupying those 2 wingback positions. And for 4.5 million, wingbacks are always enticing, no matter what team they play for, if they have a good run of fixtures. So at the start, probably wouldn't be looking at Southampton defense. If you're going to pick one out of the 3, I think Walker-Peters is probably the one to go for. Another mention for their newly signed goalkeeper, who we'll talk about in the transfer section, is also 4.5 million. I think it's Bazunu, I think is how you pronounce it, from the Manchester City under-23s. He could be an option as well. But we'll talk more about him when we get to the transfer section, because they seem to have more goalkeepers than any other position at the moment, Southampton, which is a bit kind of crazy to think about, and have had goalkeeper struggles in recent times. Now, with the defensive options out of the way, let's see if we can get some budget options for our attack this FPL season. Now, with this formation change, we could see slightly less attacking involved in Southampton's play, but they are a team who have some players that are pretty good on the ball and on their day could potentially produce something of a budget value. James Ward-Prowse at 6.5 million, I believe, was the highest scoring midfielder at his price or below. So that would make him seem like he's a very good FPL asset. The problem is that you don't know when he's going to get those string of free kicks or or set pieces where he gets assists and goals off of them. That's kind of the frustrating thing with James Ward-Prowse. I mean, if you look at the last 4 matches that he played, no big chances, only 4 chances created, which is 1 a game, which isn't ideal. Only 0.54 XGI. But then he could have a string of games where 5 games in a row he has 4.0 XGI because he's taking shots from outside the box, putting balls into the box that are very good chances, that are big chances. So it's a bit kind of a weird one there. And I think attacking-wise, the fixtures don't lend themselves to be quite kind either. Leicester away could be fairly difficult, same as Spurs away. Man United, they could potentially get something with the uncertainty around them and their new manager at the moment. Leeds are, again, everything went through Rafinha, and I don't think they've strengthened enough to be defensively sound, so maybe something to be had there. But it could be a wait and see. We know that James Ward-Prowse is going to be the steady kind of FPL asset in that mid-price bracket. Now, 2 players I did want to bring up was Stuart Armstrong and Che Adams, the 2 players in the budget bracket. Stuart Armstrong in particular at 5 million. Was playing in preseason as part of the front 3. Now, in the 3-4-3 system, he was maybe playing as more of like a kind of similar to how Chelsea do it, where they have the 3-4-2-1. Adams would be the out-and-out striker in this instance, and Armstrong, as well as whoever else might be there. You know, if it was, you know, seasons last season or something like that, maybe Adams would drop off and Broja would have been through the middle, but Broja's obviously gone back to Chelsea. Armstrong is one of those guys in the front 3, and at 5 million could be kind of like maybe the placeholder if you start with Leon Bailey as an example, who's been touted as the 5 million budget asset to go for, or maybe Neto's his downgrade is going to be to the likes of Armstrong if he continues to produce numbers there, and that's basically what we want from these guys. Get a return once every 3 games in good fixtures, maybe a couple every 4 games. That's kind of what we're looking for. And I think if Armstrong's playing out of position, then that could be quite good. Because typically he was played as like one of the wide players in a 4-2-2 system. But if he's playing more in a front 3 as like a kind of just in behind the striker type role, at 5 million that could prove to be quite good. Because we've seen that Southampton can be quite good attacking wise. It's just, can they stop leaking goals to where they're still in games, to where they can attack with some real purpose. And then Che Adams to lead the line. He's probably going to be the guy that takes over full-time now that Broja has gone back to his parent club of Chelsea. And I think at 6.5 million is probably a bit too expensive at the moment, especially with the current fixtures and with forwards being pretty much one of 3 forwards at the moment that you're looking for. It's going to be Kane, it's going to be Haaland, it's going to be Jesus, or it's going to be a 4.5 non-playing forward. I think it's a wait and see on him there as well, because I don't think he's played much, if any, at all in preseason at the moment. So, again, a bit of a wait and see on Southampton. But let's see what they're doing in the transfer market to help shore things up, to hopefully have a much better campaign than they did last season, so that they're not flirting with relegation coming into the final stretch of the season. Now, Southampton have made some interesting moves in the transfer market, because I think they do need to kind of reinvigorate themselves. They kind of struggled at large portions of last season and were at points flirting with relegation, although it was never where they were in the bottom 3, you know, fully embedded into it. That could potentially happen this season. We've seen, you know, the likes of Forest, who have done a lot of good business in the transfer market. Brentford have seemed to have established themselves, and if they don't come under any second season syndrome, then they should be fine. They very well possibly could be in and amongst it. I mean, Everton, as an example, lost the other day 4-0 in a preseason match. Yes, it is preseason, but Southampton need to really get the system right, because the fixtures off the start are going to probably be discouraging in terms of some of the results. But if the system does hold, then they can potentially use their new signings to help develop them and go back to the Southampton of old, where when Mauricio Pochettino was there, they have a lot of young players in there, develop the talents, very exciting team, very attacking team, solid defensively, just a very good overall team, basically. So, with their changes, they've done a bit of a goalkeeper switcheroo. Now, if you watch Planet FPL, they did the correspondent. I watched that video because I didn't know too much about Southampton as well, so I'd go to check out Planet FPL's channel. They have a lot of great content preseason, as well as during the season. They do a correspondence week or weeks where they talk to basically every club's main correspondent that they have. And with the Southampton kind of information that we're getting, they're not that happy that Forster was sold or let go on a free transfer, but they've brought in Bazunu, who is was a Manchester City under 23. He's coming for just under £12 million. Again, that's an approximation, and is looking to be the goalkeeper over the likes of McCarthy. In the preseason match versus RB Leipzig, he played the first half, and I believe McCarthy played the second half. He kept a clean sheet in the first half, and I think McCarthy conceded in the second half or didn't play very well, something along those lines. But apparently they really like him, and he could be the #1 goalkeeper for Southampton at 4.5 million. Looks to be quite good. They've also brought in Lavia as well. He's probably going to be the Oriol Romeu replacement, or kind of advancement, as it were, someone who can get across the ground pretty quickly, allow James Ward-Prowse to make runs from midfield when playing in a midfield 2, when they have the security of a back 3 behind them. He could be influential in that role. And then Arabo is someone who's coming at 5.5 million, listed as a midfielder in FPL, coming from Rangers, just for £6 million of a transfer fee, but was playing basically in that front 3 almost sometimes through the middle in their most recent preseason game, according to, again, the Planet FPL correspondent. And I think that could be quite interesting. Another out-of-position player, much like Armstrong. It was Arabo and the 2 Armstrongs, both Adam and Stuart, that were playing in this front 3. And I think that could pose a bit of a threat for teams that are just kind of don't really take Southampton too seriously, and this new system could mean that we see some out-of-position midfielders playing up front if the likes of Che Adams just isn't up to the task, or they want to go with something a bit different where they go for more of like a 3-4-3, but the main striker is more of a false 9, or it's more of a fluid front 3. So that's something to keep an eye on. With the outs, Fraser Forster, as we've said, has gone over to Spurs. And if Lloris ever gets injured, will probably be the starting #1 goalkeeper at 4 million, which is quite important to keep a note of. And that was on a free transfer. Shane Long, who's someone who's been there for, a long time, a veteran player, as it were. He has left the club as well. And then Smallbone, who is one of the players that was playing in central midfield, he has also left the club as well. So again, Southampton just seem to be revitalizing the team, bringing in some younger players, bringing in players that are a bit more exciting, a bit more dynamic, and are going to be suiting this new system that Hasenhüttl is implementing during preseason. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. What signings do you think Southampton need to be successful for this next coming season? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Scout members area, the one place that you need to be tuned into for the upcoming FPL season. It has a wide variety of resources and tools that will help improve your FPL game today. It has a bunch of different members-only articles written by some of the best FPL managers across the globe, heat maps for all the players and positions, as well as player comparison tools, which will help you see side by side who is going to be more effective for your FPL team, fully customizable stats tables powered by Opta stats, and much, much more. Use the link down in the description below so that you can get access to the Fantasy Football Scout members area today. It'll help improve your FPL game. This video has been sponsored by Manscaped, the best in male below-the-waist grooming. Make sure to check out manscaped.com so you can see the latest and greatest updates to their lawnmower, as well as their performance package, and much, much more for all their gadgets and gizmos to help keep your family jewels looking as shiny as ever. Make sure to use the code FLAME20 so that you can get 20% off your next Manscaped order, as well as free worldwide shipping. Go check out manscaped.com today. And that is going to do it for the Southampton edition of the Team Watch series. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Also, drop us a follow over on Twitter so that you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, as well as give us a follow over on Twitch so you can join us live for our preview, deadline, and any impromptu FPL streams, which will be exclusively over on Twitch this FPL season. The preview streams will be back starting next week, Monday, just a few days from now. I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting. And then we also have the deadline stream coming to you on the Friday as well, August 5th. And by then we'll have so much information from the Community Shield and all sorts of the remaining kind of preseason fixtures that teams have been playing. and we'll kind of have as much of a full picture as possible. And lastly, make sure to check out the link down in the description below for Fantasy Football Scouts members area. All the stats that you saw on today's video are from the Fantasy Football Scout members area, so make sure to go check it out. It's going to help elevate your FPL game. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.